And we are live. It's another episode of We Gotta Believe. And as always, We Gotta Believe is presented by Coors Light. This time, these days of ours, it's craziness. We got, we're recording this on St. Patrick's Day. This is March. We got the tournament coming up. We have wedding season. Kyle has, I think, what are you down to, Kyle, this year? 5 weddings?
4 or 5.
4 or 5 instead of last year's 12, which was preposterous. Graduations are back, so everyone's going to be sitting in chairs, watching people walk across stages. Spring sports, I'm already chaperoning the kids around nonstop, and it's only going to get worse. Life is busier than ever, which is good. We're happy everything's getting back to normal, but with that, you need to have a time to chill out a little, and that's why you got to get yourself a Coors Light. It is the beer that is made to chill. We've said this a million times, but you guys need to hear it again. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged. It's literally made to chill. I need a Coors Light right now because my voice is breaking up. Hold on one sec. There we go. It's as crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies with Kris Bryant, which we'll get into in a minute. Perfect for a moment to unwind. Man, this is going to be the flu game. As I'm going through this, I'm realizing how bad my voice is, but that's all right. When I need to take a second for myself, I reach for the beer that's made to chill. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Drizzly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/rocket. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. I have a problem. Yeah, that is really messing with my brain these days. I have a mental lock on it. We're back for another week. It's Clem, it's Kyle, it's Meek. We got Mikey Pavs on the 1s and 2s. KFC's out for this week. He has some stuff he's dealing with, so we're going to get right into it. We've been, 3 days since our last episode, and we have a full slate of stuff, man. I can't believe just how much this news piles up. And this is before we get Metsy with it, right? Like, these are just typical stories. So, excuse me. We're going to try to segment things a little better here now that we got like new season, new us, new host, new producer, we got new video, all this kind of stuff. We're looking beautiful. So we're going to try to make stuff a little more segmented for everyone. First, we're going around Mets camp. We're down in St. Lucie here. All right. This is the time of year where I become the, kombucha girl, where I'm like, and she kind of looks like me, which always fucks up my brain, and she looks exactly like me with long hair. Seeing Dom go yard off Max Scherzer twice, I'm like, first thought on a lot of people's timelines, it seems, was, all right, Dom, we got 2020 Dom back. Everyone's fired up. I was more, and I try not to be the negative Mets fan. You guys know I'm usually the optimistic one here. I'm like, all right, Scherzer, you're probably a little tired from all those negotiations. He had a little bit of a gut on him when we saw him warming up the other day. I was a little concerned. Kyle, what was your first thoughts as the Dom guy of the podcast?
As the Dom guy, first off, Spin Zone. Clubhouse loves Dom. Everybody knows it. He's one of the most popular players in the clubhouse. Scherzer's trying to get in good with everybody and just giving him some cookies over the middle. Then he goes to the press and he says, I don't know, he used to be able to get him out with those pitches. Seems like he's making some transitions, some adjustments here. He even said he's like doubling down this year. He wants 30 home runs, 25, 30 home runs, batting over 300. If we get that out of Dom, even if it's on a part-time basis, that is game-changing for the entire season. I'm a Dom guy. I think last year the wrist issue kind of fucked him up. The fact that he was moving in and out of positions. There was no DH, even though we had it the year before. There was a lot of alternative problems that he didn't have to deal with the year before when he had success. As far as Scherzer goes, when you're an ace like that, you're just working on your stuff. He doesn't give a shit. Yeah. He's playing around with grips. He's playing around with locations and how to get certain batters out. I'm not concerned at all when it comes to Scherzer, and I don't think he's concerned either.
What about you, Phil?
I'm not worried about it at all. Max is, like Kyle said, Max is working on his craft. He's probably throwing Dom meatballs too, just to like make it better. So.
Yeah. I think I read somewhere that versus Scherzer before that, he was 0 for 16 in his career.
Yeah, exactly.
He went yard twice. And
doesn't count, and next thing you know, shocking.
Max, he's a leader. He led, the Players Association. He's a new team trying to get in with the guys. Nobody loves Dom. Everyone loves Dom, like you said.
Yeah, get their confidence up. Just let them go tee off on and be like, oh wow, hit home runs off Max Scherzer. I'm ready to go now.
So all right, this is the Spin Zone I needed to hear. I'm sure there's some other Mets fans who are the Chicken Little Mets fans that the sky is always falling. Again, it was mostly positive for Dom when I read it, but as someone, I will. All right, listen. I'm going to make this announcement now. If anyone has problems with my voice, tweet at large Barstool, because I saw that son of a bitch at the office on Monday. He had the same thing I had, and he was, giving me hugs, pat me on the back, and I have the same exact voice that he did then. So he did this to me, that son of a bitch. So tweet at large Barstool.
You were up at like 4 o'clock in the morning doing your little leprechaun fucking Patty's Day thing. I've never seen that before in my life.
Yeah, that's a little glimpse into the future. That's probably where Kev is right now. He's probably doing the same thing for his kids. This is the new thing apparently with like elementary schools. My daughter had it with the Girl Scouts. Is you like St. Patrick's Day is now like Easter and Christmas, where there's a little magical creature that comes overnight. And in this case, the leprechaun comes, you set a trap for him. He doesn't get caught in the trap because leprechauns are fucking fake. Kids are stupid. They believe it. And he'll like leave behind those little gold coin chocolates or whatever. So I was up at, 5:30 in the morning with my wife, springing the traps. We put, green food coloring in the toilet because he, pees in the toilet. He's a mischievous little fucker is what he is. So that's kind of the world that we live in right now. So that's what I was doing, and to go along with Large's laryngitis that he gave me. So I'm battling through it. I'm going to do whatever it takes. The one thing I won't do is take performance enhancing drugs. I refuse to do it, but that is not the case for our boy Robinson Cano. He's back in camp right now. That is a hell of a segue. I may sound bad, but I can still segue like a motherfucker. Robbie Cano apologized to, I think it was like the teammates, the fans, the front office, yada yada, all that stuff. Says he has no excuse. I have no problem with Robinson Cano using performance enhancing drugs for the rest of his natural career here with the Mets, anywhere else. That means he's either going to hit or get suspended for life. And that is a win-win scenario for us, no matter what. So the Wash King, I think we have to steer into this. Like we've been doing, the ridiculous hair, the Wash King nickname, all that kind of stuff. That fucking salary is on our books. Kalenick's going to start probably putting it together a little more this year, and it's going to drive us crazy. I think we kind of have to just learn to live with the Robbie Cano black cloud that's going to hang over us the rest of the season. How did you take his apology there, Phil?
Just he didn't say anything bad. He said all the right things. I just wanted to cheat more and just get back on the juice. That's really it.
Hit bombs or get suspended for life,
exactly.
and basically ruin your career and all that stuff.
I love how why'd you do it again, Robbie? And he literally just made a face like, why the fuck do you think, dude? Like, I'm 41 years old.
There's nothing wrong with what he said. Like,
yeah, and again, that's a Brody Van Wagenen move. So the ghost of Brody will live with this franchise as long as Robbie Cano's here. And I mean, we're at the point too. I mean, we're going to talk about Uncle Stevie's money, I'm sure, later on in this episode. But at some point, like if he just struggles and he's an absolute disaster, throw that money at him, make him disappear. I'm sure Stevie's made other people disappear in the past that he doesn't want to see with his money. Robbie Cano could just be the biggest name one. And our guy, David Peterson, hit him in the simulation game for good measure. So that was great to see.
get him on base, lean into it, anything to help the team.
Shit, man, maybe we should like start a rumor that Cano was also like stealing signs and stuff. So then everyone's throwing pitches at, and that was kind of his downfall his first year at the Mets. Remember, he kept getting like hit in the hands. The guy couldn't catch a break. I mean, that is peak Mets stuff.
I hated that we got him. I was all for Diaz because Diaz was like dealing in Seattle. But do you remember that spring training? That spring training, he hit like 450 and you couldn't get him out. And then the second the season started, I think it was game 1. It was game 1 or game 2. He got hit in the hand, and that was the end of it. It was downhill from there. But the one thing I'm happy about is that Buck has already made it clear that second base is McNeil's position. Like, it's his to play day in and day out, and then Cano will get reps and then DH. If Jeff has a slow start and then the fans start seeing Cano having some sort of success, we can't hitch our wagon to that guy anymore. Like, that isn't – if he's the guy we're relying on down the stretch, he's a nice position piece. Remember when we had Michael Kadire, who was supposed to be like that guy, and then he sucked?
Oh, God.
If Cano can be like the realization of that, and he's the guy who like gets a clutch hit here or there, more than enough. It pays for itself, and then he could just go away.
Yeah, professional hitter, no matter what you want to say. And the thing is, he can't even be like the lefty DH because we have Dom still, right? And Dom's going to have to fill that role at some point. So Buck's going to have his – but again, there's no man I feel more confident in working all these different bats and egos and whatever more than Buck Showalter, just because he is like an old school vet. And, I'm sure the analytics guys are going to weigh in. But speaking of which, that was one quote that kind of like Mets fans were going crazy about. He said, Buck, his was that his first presser, like in camp, where he goes, I don't, the believe signs, like, Ted Lasso or all the like little stuff, on the walls. He's like, get that shit out of here. Just give me a sign that just says play better. Yep. That is what we need as the New York Mets. A breath of fresh air is like the term I've heard used to describe Buck Showalter more than anything else. And there's no better way, which again, Buck Showalter being the old guy, breath of fresh air is something that usually goes hand in hand. But this is what it's like to have a fucking real manager for once. And like not a guy on his first time as a manager. Like we've had, when was the last time we had a guy that was like a retread of somewhere? Was it Art Howe? Was that the last guy that was like on his second job? Terry had managed before.
Jerry Manuel was on the team for far too long, and he was just the bench coach for Willie Randolph. It was just we haven't had like a legitimate guy in a very, very long time when you look at it like that.
Yeah, and Art Howe was by no means the gold standard that we're looking for here. And I think we've talked about Buck in the past, but again, that quote. That was everything Orioles fans said he was going to be. And I saw RDT was hitting us up and it's like, I told you, you guys are going to love Buck. This is something like, let's be honest. We're the Mets fans. We're the kids that have, been neglected and mentally tortured and all that kind of stuff. This is just like a father figure that is just going to take things easy on us, tell us it's going to be okay, even if he knows it's not going to be okay. And like, it's like just the little things with like the media or the radio hosts or the writers and stuff like that. He's not going to do anything that's going to get us in more trouble than we're already in because of whatever's going on in baseball. And you think every pitch is life or death. Just hearing that, play better, that, we've already thrown around some shirt ideas around play better. I don't know if that's going to be the 2022 version of the Salt and Pepper Gang or something like that, but it's on the docket. So play better is in our wheelhouse right now. We stored it away in the tickler file of our brains.
I'm just glad we never have to hear they competed or I liked their approach ever.
Oh, yeah.
Straight for
battled.
It's just every manager like, oh, well, they're trying out there. It's like, no, play better. That is at the end of the day, that's the only way you win games is you play better.
Yep. Oh, what? Or when Scherzer yesterday said, it's like, oh, I want to hear fans boo me, tell me I suck. It's like, we've come a long way from last year.
Yeah.
We got you, Max. Don't worry. Like, you'll be hearing it from the opposing fans, and you'll be hearing it from us if you throw, those meatballs opening day, at Citi Field or anything like that. And then, all right. So we're talking, good quotes here and there. Adam Ottavino already making his way into our hearts, which, by the way, he will be wearing number 0, which Stroh had 0 for he didn't have it his whole time, right? I think he had it for one season.
Last year, yeah.
He had 7-0 and 7-0 because then 7-0 for Reyes.
Yeah. So Ottavino, again, as a number guy, love, a guy whose name starts with O wearing the 0. And his exact quote here about the Yankees, it's great that a good team is in New York. And again, he had said the thing about being able to strike out Babe Ruth, which had everyone going crazy. Yankee fans were sucking his dick all the 2019 season until the playoffs, where I feel like he kind of fell apart a little bit. But again, he pitched in the Yankee Stadium. He pitched in Fenway Park. Fake baseball stadiums. He is in a real base, and Colorado, 3 fake baseball stadiums, the 3 fakest baseball stadiums in all of baseball. He's finally in a real ballpark here. I'm going to give him a chance. I'm not ready to make him my guy, but he's on like the guy watch list. I'm telling you right now, he's going to say a couple other things that are going to be like quirky, funny. I saw Bassett had something funny too, where he threw LGFM. He's like, I'm going to work on where the F is supposed to go. That was Trevor May's deal. He was like brushing his teeth in the airport. So Bassett, I can already tell he's going to be a fun guy. Bassett, Ottavino. That's kind of what I asked for in my like non-ace or closer pitchers is like, just be fun and not suck. The two things I ask. There's only 2 rules I have as a fan. I feel like, are you warming up to Ottavino at all? I could tell like you were a little skeptical when we first got him.
A little skeptical, but after he said like, oh, at least there's a good team in New York, that won me over. I'll probably hate him by May after he goes a game, but
1,000%.
Honestly, all he's doing is replacing Familia's spot in the bullpen, so it's not like that major of an addition. So
that is all right. So this is for all the Mets fans out there that are kind of, unsure about Ottavino through all this. Just be like, that guy is our new Familia. So if he's bad, you're like, well, Familia would have sucked anyway. And if he's good, you're like, well, he's here, and Familia is probably fucking up shit for the Phillies down in Philadelphia. And I feel like the Phillies, I have to look at their team. I feel like they're like the core of them is still a little Metsy right now, where it just doesn't.
Oh, their bullpen's hilarious. They paid Familia and Brad Hand, so.
I'll admit, I had talked myself 100% into Brad Hand coming back just because I'm like, we need a fucking guy there. So God almighty.
And you're in a good spot when you're convincing yourself about like a journeyman.
Yeah.
Anyone at any point. But like if Ottavino ends up being like even a little bit like Turk Wendell, because I feel like he's like quirky like that, and he's just gonna say some like off the rails shit as the season goes on. I just need the guy who's the wild card. He could be, as long as he's good most of the time, you're never gonna get perfection out of your relief pitchers anyway. But it's like it's tough to look at the bullpen right now and figure out like it's Ottavino and then why am I blanking on his name? The gamer.
For what?
7, 8, 9. So Diaz,
May?
Yeah, May was like up and down last year. I think he could be a little bit more consistent. Then we'll just worry about the 7th. Then you just plug and play whoever you need at the moment, and it is what it is.
Yeah, well, don't forget Seth Lugo too.
Yeah, the Puerto Rican. God damn it, Kyle, that's my guy. You're forgetting my fucking guy. And I'm at the point with Seth Lugo where, I mean, he kind of came down to earth a little bit, and the injuries are starting to take a toll, I feel. But you have him, I mean, Diaz, we're going to have to see, again, play the fucking trumpets. Everything's going to be fine. And then, like, Castro, like Miguel Castro.
All these guys we're naming, they're all free agents at the end of the year, too. So they all have something to play for.
Yep, the bullpen, it's up and down, and I'm like, again, I can't get too high and low with guys like this. If you have a stud, and I think Hader has been kind of the guy that everyone's hoping the Mets, if they do make a move and kind of clear up this logjam of bats, that's the guy they end up getting. But that'll take us to the next segment here on the open market. Cha-ching, Uncle Stevie time, spend some fucking money, fix some holes, all that kind of stuff. And that first hole is officially not going to be the big bat, the big bopper in the middle of the lineup at third base is not going to be Kris Bryant. Signed a 7-year, $182 million deal with the Colorado Rockies, which I think if you add in the $50 million they gave the Cardinals, it's essentially like the same deal that Nolan Arenado had, right?
Yeah, basically.
And like I know Arenado had like was it back issues, right? And whatever, but he's also a gold glover where Kris Bryant is like an outfielder as well as a third baseman because he's not great at third base. And I don't know. That just I feel like Kris Bryant should already be on like the trade watch right now. Like it's like, all right, July 31st, we can get Kris Bryant. 7 years, 182. No, thank you. I would have taken if Uncle Stevie wanted to go 4 years and a shit ton of money AAV. I would have been fine with that. But 7 years, 182, especially we have Batty, we have Vientos in the minors, we have every other player we can hypothetically trade for or sign at some point. I think, what's his name? I think Ramirez is going to get dealt from Cleveland sooner or later. And then, I don't know. It seems like a little bit of a pipe dream, Correa or Story or, these shortstops moving to third. It just seems like a little
that's
overkill.
Too pipe dreamish, yeah. Also, like, who are the Rockies even betting against for Kris Bryant? Like, there was no rumored interest on any other team with them. It was really just, the Rockies are interested. And we're like, it's got to be a joke. And then John Heyman has me blocked, so I had to, like, go through a different browser, see what he said. Oh, Kris Bryant to Rockies, and I see the money. I'm like, okay. Nobody was ever competing with that.
All right, Phil.
And good for him. Good for him. I have nothing against that.
Phil, what did you do to get blocked by John Heyman?
I corrected a typo of his like 5 years ago.
That was it? A typo?
That was it. Yes.
All right. Heyman randomly follows me on Twitter. I might have to just like be like, and he's pretty cool. He'll go back and forth with me. And I'm always on my best behavior with like Heyman, Schefter, Rappaport, Hassan.
Blocked by like,
no, it is because
everybody in the fan base. It doesn't really matter because he never has the story right anyway. Yeah. But Heyman, it's like you're missing out on big time.
It's every Boris client with him, but that's why I have Jeff Passan alert. So that's my guy.
Oh man, that's a tough one, Phil.
But like Colorado, I feel like Colorado is a retirement home for a lot of players where they're like, there's no pressure. I'm going to go hit a ton of bombs and boost my numbers. He's already won a World Series and he won one of the most historically significant World Series in recent days. So it's like, he does still want to win, but how do you turn that down? This is like the twilight, quote unquote, of his career. You go get that money because he's not getting it anyplace else. Yeah,
and he has a full no trade. So like you said, he could request out any time and pick his new team if he wants.
The Rockies are so fucking dumb. They put no trade clauses in all the people's shit. Like Arenado didn't even ask for it back in the day, and they put it in there, and that's why it was such a struggle to get rid of him.
Yep.
Oh,
that's what happened with the Knicks and Melo too. Remember? Then and that like those no trade clauses ended up fucking you more than any kind of money or any years will, inevitably. And that's the thing. Like, and for everyone being like, oh my God, like, I can't believe he's going to Colorado. Scott Boras is no fucking idiot. He got his client the most money, and he said to him probably exactly what we're saying. He's like, listen, once you're done with these guys, and like, Denver's awesome. I've heard nothing but great things about Colorado, Coors Field, all that stuff. Coors Light, we love our Coors Light. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Golden, Colorado is heaven in my mind. It sounds fucking like heaven anyway. So they're probably saying, listen, Chris, you go there for 3 years. You already won that World Series. You're already a fucking legend for life in Chicago. And then if you want to go play for a World Series contender again, we'll get you moved. And one of the 5 teams that will be willing to spend money will trade for you. It'll be us. It'll be the Yankees. You know what? Well, the Yankees, we have to cross off that list. That's a new segment coming up later in the podcast. But the Red Sox, the Dodgers, those sick motherfuckers, and teams that actually care about winning instead of the bottom line. It is just like such a joke, though, that it's the Rockies of all teams when they're voting against the luxury tax and just being broke-ass bitches.
Yep.
Speaking of teams that do spend money, though, Freddie Freeman going to the left coast, finally out of the NL East. And so obviously Matt Olson to the Braves. That was the story a couple days ago. And then once that happened, we knew Freddie was basically gone. When that trade happened for me, and again, I don't know why I'm being like a little negative. I'm being a little negative bitch these days, but I was more like, fuck, that means Freddie to the Dodgers. And now it just means we have to face 2 goddamn first basemen, one in our division, and now one potentially in like the playoffs. And if Freddie went, I would have been fine Freddie going to the Yankees. The fact the Yankees are poor now, that made that impossible. But I personally would have rather Freddie go to the Yankees and have to deal with the Gabagool boys and the 27 ring crew, knowing that they're going to probably fuck up because they probably would be capped out in their luxury tax shit from Freddie's contract. I don't want to have to deal with that Dodgers lineup. And that Dodgers lineup is fucking ridiculous.
It's a joke.
So let me pull it up real quick here. Let me just get the lineup that they were tweeting out. Betts, Turner. I forgot Trey Turner was even on the Dodgers. I was just like, oh my God, this fucking guy. Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Max Muncy, Justin Turner, Cody Bellinger, Chris Taylor, AJ Pollock. I mean, that is a goddamn, it's an all-star team that they're just playing in the regular season with. And the only thing that gives me like hope as like a Mets fan is those teams, it just never works out like that. It's just, the sport, it's just the baseball gods even everything out just enough that it's just not a team winning like 120 games in a season. So Phil, what was your thoughts? Because I remember I think we talked about it briefly, like Freeman is out of our lives. He's no longer haunting us 19 times a year. He
haunts us 6 times a year, which is still sucks, but I'd rather the Dodgers than going back to the Braves, because let's say if Freddie went back to the Braves, the Dodgers would have got Matt Olson, and the Dodgers are just going to be the Dodgers no matter what. You just got to accept that. Yep. So at least he's tormenting other people on the West Coast like he did with us.
Poor Mark for the Braves organization. Like they would never have done that to Chipper Jones.
Yep.
Never in a million. And after winning a World Series, like this guy's been with your organization since the start, and you just ship him off like he's nothing. Acuna's not coming back anytime soon. They said he's not playing in the field until May. Now they have the DH. I don't know if he's going to be able to hit, but it's like this is what happens. And like this is going back to the Mets. Like when the Mets won in '86, they got rid of Kingman, and they were like, oh, like whatever. Nice. He's not that important. We're just going to plug somebody else in. That's not how it works all the time. Sometimes it's just like that cohesive unit, and you need this guy who's been the face of the franchise and in the clubhouse their entire time that he's been up, and now he's gone, and now it's like, well, who do you look to? That could be potentially a much bigger problem, and it's good for us.
I like the way you're talking, Kyle.
They gave up a lot of decent prospects for Matt Olson too. Like they could have used those guys to get like someone else, like a Brian Reynolds or something. Really, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people have been comparing it to like if the Mets just gave up on David Wright and just shipped him out after they won a World Series and found like a new third baseman that was we had David Wright's like corpse on the fucking salary for years and years and years. And David Wright's by far my favorite player ever. I hate saying that, but it is the truth. And again, everything about the Braves, like their books get opened and you just see how much money they're making. And you're just like, damn, you couldn't. And the money, I know. The thing is, if you do look at the numbers, it's like Olson seems like he's the younger. The WAR is, I think he was even better than Freeman the last few years and all that kind of stuff. But there is kind of that juju side of it, and the fan side of it, the Ray Knight side of it too. I'm just praying to God it fucks the Braves over, no matter what it takes to fuck the Braves over. They get all these guys like signing for like pennies on the dollar.
That's another thing. He agrees to like this 8-year, $168 million contract in less than 24 hours. Like, where did that come from? Negotiations were that easy?
There's some shady shit going down in Atlanta. I agree, man. I don't like it at all. I will say, like, the good side of it for the Mets is that now Freeman can haunt the Padres and the Giants on the West Coast now. And that, like, as a team that should contend every year, I'm just looking around at like the other teams that are going to be fighting for a position in these fucking expanded playoffs and all that kind of stuff. And those are two teams, like the Giants are going to do stuff the smart way. Padres seem to be spending a little more. Padres are like, that fucking Tatis injury already feels like their first skid out here, right? With this, it seems like it always just seemed weird that the Padres are just going to become like one of the Habs with the rest of us. And it already seems to be kind of going against them in that end. But again, the Dodgers, we'll have to see. Like, the Dodgers are Uncle Stevie's, that's who he wants to be down the road. So they're going to be a pain in the ass no matter what. Hopefully we get on track. We get our farm system cooking like theirs. And then we're also spending the money whenever we have to along the way. So Freddie Freeman. Now, all right. Would you guys have rather him go to LA or the Yankees?
Yankees.
Kyle?
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, if we're playing for a World Series, the Yankees, but to have to deal with those fuckheads across the town every time.
They'd hate him though. They'd hate him after he hits like 280 or something. They're like, oh, he goes like 200 in a week. It's like, oh, we were overpaying this guy.
They keep booing him like Stanton, and then Stanton's the most like polarizing player that they've got, where it's like they love him one day and they hate him the next. So yeah, I guess the Yankees, but that'd still be a tough pill to swallow. You know what it is? They go to the West Coast and you don't have to hear about them. Like, they're basically dead to me until we play them.
That's true. Yep. That is actually a great point. And I'll say this about Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman's fucking awesome player, right? It's just that he was a fucking star player that was also a Mets killer. Like, it's extra frustrating when you have the Chipper Joneses of the world who just absolutely gut you instead of the what's the dude on the Cardinals, Paul DeJong. Like, it's like those guys. It's like, motherfucker, I got, just getting my fucking dick, grated through a cheese grater by Paul DeJong every year. So it's like, it is what it is with that kind of stuff. So it's like, if he was on the Yankees, he would just be like Freddie Freeman. He would be like the regular guy. He wouldn't be killing us all the fucking time because we only play the Yankees 6 times a year. So I feel like that would have been whatever. A guy, however, that is now back in the National League is goddamn Kyle Schwarber. And I know, Phil, you were beating the drum on Schwarber. I was at the point where it's like, just sign him so he doesn't go.
Face him. Yeah, that's it. Like, now we got to face him 19 times a year. He had 9 homers versus last year. Like, I'm tired of it.
And Schwarber is the dude who's kind of in the middle, where he's not like a Freeman, where it's like you have like MVP, caliber stuff out of him, but he's not like a scrub. He's fucking a match. Yeah, what he is.
He'll get his like 40 home runs or like close to it, and like 10 of them will be versus us. Like, it's gonna be annoying.
I mean, last year he looked like Babe Ruth. It was like multi-home run games. It was every single game in a row he was hitting them. It was just. Would you say he had 9 home runs? Those
9 home runs.
Those were consecutive in my mind. Like, those were all the same series.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing about with Schwarber, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like you have to have a dark black heart to not love Kyle Schwarber. Like, he's just a likable looking dude. He kind of looks like the kid Dustin from Stranger Things, like growing up. He's a big dude, Schwarbos. I mean, I think like the Cubs likability and like Big Cat and the whole Cubs, Carl, that whole crew like has kind of like rubbed off and put the magic on him as well. But he's just like a big lovable doofus. And the fact that he goes from the Nationals and he's just motherfucking us every night. And like when they were batting him lead off, and I'm like, oh god damn. Yeah. Then he goes to the Red Sox, and the Met Sox, connection is a beautiful thing. It's an alliance against the evil empire of the Yankees. And I'm like, all right, Kyle, let's go to work now. And then he, out of every team in baseball, probably the one other team that would have signed him is the Phillies. He's made for the DH. The National League finally has the DH, and they plug him in right there. It just fucking sucks. So we get rid of Freddie. We get Kyle back. So it's like perfectly balanced as all things should be. Oh, that's the other thing too. Yeah. He's in Citizens Bank.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
And then the worst part about it is the last note of on the open market here. We missed out on Chaffin. How is it? Is it Chafin?
Andrew Chafin, yes.
Yeah. And
lefty guy in the market.
Yep, the lefty reliever market, which has always been a little funky with the Mets. And then we get who do we bring back?
Jason Shreve.
Yeah, we brought back Jason Shreve.
One of the best signings of the Brody Van Wagenen era. There were not many good ones. Maybe like the top 3.
Yep. And again, this is kind of like, is Hader potentially the piece that the Mets are kind of waiting on, or is it another, is there any kind of lefty here? Well, I'll tell you right now, we're going to be facing Bryce Harper and fucking Kyle Schwarber a shitload of times in high leverage spots. We're going to be facing Juan Soto. We're going to we're not going to be facing Freddie Freeman, thank God, right? But it's like all those goddamn big lefties that are coming up at the big spots when it always seems to be in like the 8th inning in a 1-run ball game. You got to just get one. And don't give me like any of these righty relievers who have good numbers against lefties. I need that lefty on lefty matchup just for like my stupid baseball brain when you just see it going from side to side. Any kind of numbers as well, I'll take. But just seeing lefty on lefty, it just makes me feel just a little more at ease that guy's not going to put it 450 feet up my ass. So is there anyone else out there, Phil, that like is
on the free agent market? Not that much. Maybe like Tony Watson, I think, but it'd have to be a trade if they want to get a lefty reliever, I think. Unless, there's probably some guy I'm just not thinking of off the top of my head.
And then you're like a little gun shy that it's a reliever that, those are guys that are hits or miss. And then you're going to give up prospects, or like we maybe have to give up. If it was Hader, we'd have to give up like somebody who's ready right now to go. So it's like,
And the three batter rule makes those like lefty only guys kind of like obsolete in a way. It's like you're not only using number 1 batter.
Buck's like, he's already that calming presence. He's like, we're just going to throw out whoever it is anyway. It's a 3-batter rule. Like, they're going to have to figure it out one day. I'm like, okay, I kind of trust him. You do.
Yeah. So, and again, that's the thing. It's like, teach your kids how to pitch lefty because there's always going to be a shitload of money. I don't want to spend a ton of money on a guy that is going to not be great. It's just he pitches lefty and that's his skill, right? He's like good enough at pitching lefty. Like, I don't know. It just makes you feel dirty, that kind of stuff. So, God, that's gonna be a thing, huh? This is gonna be a thing for at least the first week of the season. It's gonna be again, bottom of the 8th, opening day, and we're just gonna have a fucking big lefty ready to shove it up our ass. Actually, I'm gonna try to let me see if I can do this for the YouTube here. I'm gonna put a picture of the fucking nerd who dominates the Oscars. This guy, Ben Zazum. Can you let me see if I can throw it up here? Can I throw it up here, Pavs? Boom. There it is. That man, just trust him. He's looking at the lefty reliever market. He doesn't know one of these fucking names. He couldn't tell Tony Watson, Tom Watson, Tim Watson. Doesn't know any of their fucking names. He's just looking at numbers, crunching them, and fucking he can tell you who's going to win the Oscars in the 2025. The movie hasn't even been fucking made yet. The script hasn't even been written. This is the man we're going to trust. The guy is an LL Bean book bag with his name on it. That's the kind of guy I want running my numbers here. So at the end of the day, that's just, like, we got to believe. Like, you got to believe that the fucking nerds in the front office are going to make the right moves. And again, I feel like the A's, they shit these guys out all the time. That always are come out and it's like, yep, they throw 96 and they get outs every single time, or they Chad Bradford throw like weird motherfuckers and somehow get. That's actually what I need. I just need a side armor. Or a 3-quarter guy. Yeah. Give me someone who just has some weird motion from the left side, and I'll believe that guy is going to get outs every single time until he proves me wrong. That kind of like Heilman was like the one guy that would never stood for there. And then the last real thing was, who was it? Travis. When I read it this morning, I thought it was Stevie Janowski at first. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Travis Jankowski. Yep. Are we excited about this? Is it just a whatever? Is this anything exciting?
Phil? I know. He's a local product, so I have like college knowledge, but go ahead.
I know he's he's a fast base runner. I just remember last year when he was on the Phillies, he got picked off a second base in a stupid rundown. So that's all I'll give about him. He's a VR type base runner.
He is a Stony Brook product from Pennsylvania. He went to the Cape Cod League and just shit down everybody's throat. Like hit like 4 whatever, like crushed the competition, ended up being a first-round draft pick by the Padres, was supposed to be their premier center fielder, got hurt, didn't have a good start, like had struggled putting the ball in play the way that he was at those lower levels, but he flew through all the minor leagues. So he's like that, God, I hope it's not Kirk Neuenhuis, but he's like the quadruple A player where he's good enough to be in the pros, but like just doesn't put it together on a consistent basis when he's up. But if they could figure it out, he's an elite defender and he's super fucking fast. So like worst comes to worst, he's that spark plug occasionally. You hope that that's the case.
Okay, I can live with that. And another thing here, I'm going to pull it up on the screen for the YouTube people to see. Share the screen here. He has some fucking lettuce. I mean, all right, so we got long hair like that. He's faster now. He's like his speed has raised 5 points in my brain just because of that little bit of swagger, all that kind of stuff. And he said he was hitting the shit out of the ball in the Cape Cod League. So that's fucking beautiful for me. Oh, and then Billy McKinney to the A's. I saw that this morning. I forgot Billy McKinney was a fucking part of our lives at one point, let alone the best player in baseball for like a week. It was a magical run with Billy McKinney going to the A's. So we'll see him in the All-Star game this summer. He'll fucking put it all together.
He won the World Series. Like when we traded him to the Dodgers that year, right?
We did.
Pretty sure that's the year they won.
Did they save him? Did he stay there though? I don't know if he stayed there. Billy McKinney, man.
He was on 3.
Campbell's Soup. Like, it's just a name that like when you hear it, you forget who he is. You have to give a second to put it all together.
He was on 3 teams last year. It was the Mets, Dodgers, Brewers.
Didn't make it.
So.
And the Dodgers designated him for assignment on November 19th. So that means he got himself a ring because of it, right? He had one plate of.
No, the Dodgers didn't win the World Series.
Oh,
you're
Tom,
thinking
what
of
the
it
fuck
wrong.
am I saying? What am I saying? Yeah. No, it's like, no, my least favorite team of all time won the World Series last year.
Yeah, I know. You want to forget the Braves won their World Series. I want to forget about it too.
Yeah, he didn't get a ring. His one plate appearance was in the NLDS where he struck out. So shout out Billy McKinney again. Like, these are the things we need to hear after this or before the season to remind ourselves, like, life and death in like May when these guys we've never heard of are somehow playing, because all those goddamn injuries last year, it was a goddamn bloodbath. And I think the one thing I said last year when he came up was like, I don't know anything about Billy McKinney. He just has a good baseball name. And sometimes that's all it takes to get you through like a week where everyone's hurt. It's going to suck. VR hasn't signed anywhere, right? I saw he was negotiating.
He's still a free agent.
That's going to hurt a lot when he goes somewhere. Like, I don't really give a shit about Kevin Pillar. No offense to the man with the broken face. I mean, we would have died for him last year when he was wearing that plexiglass mask. But like the 10,000th like man on base that he left on base, I kind of like got over him at that point. So shout out to the Alar brothers. That was a magical run. Our next segment, the broke boys in the Bronx. How fucking good was it seeing that headline of Hal Steinbrenner basically saying he doesn't want to get into a spending war with Uncle Stevie, thinks they're both good for New York baseball. It's going to be a lot of fun, but he fucking turtled in his shell. George Steinbrenner, 6 feet under, just doing somersaults, rolling over in his grave, watching the New York Mets become everything that the New York Yankees used to stand for during all our childhoods, which was the absolute pits. Yep. Let me get this straight. Let me make this clear. It was the worst watching the fucking being the broke team in New York, watching the rich team spend and win and having all the fans shove it down our fucking throats. And then the 2000 World Series, which almost killed 90% of the people that were alive for it and remember it during that podcast. Kevin, I don't think has still recovered from it. I think, isn't that the infamous story? Like Bobby Gallucci or something told Kevin, he said, I'm going to fuck your girlfriend in the ass after the Mets won or lost game 5. So that's like, you know, the darkest of days for a lot of Mets fans were rooted in that 2000 World Series. And now 22 years later, we have flipped the script on them, negative to positive, in the words of Christopher Wallace himself. Everything is fucking great right now. Kyle, I mean, you're a Long Island guy, so I feel like you probably you lived in Mets country most of your life.
Yep.
But goddamn, I mean, I think Newsday had it on the front page, right?
Yeah, I tweeted out this morning. I said, if I could go back and tell my 12-year-old self that this is the life I'd be living now, we had to convince ourselves that Jeremy Burnitz was a good pickup, and then the Yankees went and got Jason Giambi, and it was just always we're like the bargain bin team, and we're finally at a point in our lives, which I can't believe it, but we're the premier destination for the players. We have the money to go get anybody. We're going to end up being we've been saying it this whole time, but like our kids are going to be like the assholes, like, oh, Mets will go get him. Oh, Mets will go get him. And the Yankees will be like, oh, well, you know, this guy's a good middle of the way player. Like he'll be a big like spark plug guy. Like that's their future. And like they have to worry about signing Aaron Judge. Like that's their whole focus. And if they, God forbid, lose him, that's the end of the empire. Like, if you lose the face of your franchise and, like, the guy who's meant to be captain, the whole reason they haven't named him captain yet is because they don't know if they can afford him. That would be That would be perfection if they do that this year. If he doesn't sign an extension and they try to name him captain and then he goes someplace else, chef kiss. I don't even like that. That's my side World Series if that happens.
What's funny is they've actually increased their payroll this year by a bit, but they didn't spend it on anything good. They traded for 36-year-old Josh Donaldson. They brought back Rizzo. Like,
Yeah.
you have all these star free agents out there, and this is who you end up getting. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is you just look at the free agency class; it was absolutely stacked. And then if you told any of us before it happens that the Yankees' big moves were going to be, bringing back Rizzo and bringing in Josh Donaldson, and I think like the quote was like, "We want to get younger and like we are going to spend money." It's crazy. It's fucking. We live in the upside down, man. And you know what? Like I don't ever want to leave the upside down. I'll tell you, the great thawing of the coronavirus is over. But I'll tell you, like coming out from the outside of it, I'm like, you know what? Everything is fine right now. Uncle Stevie is firmly in place atop the fucking org chart at Citi Field. Hal Steinbrenner. I mean, like that's the thing. Like it was Hal and Hank when George left, and Hal obviously was like the businessman, and Hank seemed to have a little more George in him, a little more Maverick, and obviously he passed. But it's like I was more scared of Hank because he was just a guy who's like, fuck it, we're the Yankees. Like even when you go to that stadium and it's just so fucking, it feels like you're in a museum, right? And it's just so sterile, and it's like I don't know if you could like have those marble like fucking floors and fucking columns and then trotting out this team every single time. And the thing about Judge too, like it almost feels like Judge if he was a Met, it's like it almost feels like the predicament they're in is a Mets predicament because they could re-sign him to a massive deal and he gets hurt tomorrow. Like the guy never fucking stays healthy. And JJ, who used to be here at Barstool, he's been banging the drum for a while. Trade Judge, and I'm with him. And it's easy to say as a Mets fan looking like from the other side of town. I don't trust that guy, man. He's awesome when he's on, but he's never fucking on. That's the problem, right?
On the barrel of the Stanton contract. So, and this is a carbon copy. Like Stanton, they've already taken on all the money, and that's exactly what they got. They got a guy who's hurt half the time that they have to DH. He's not an outfielder anymore. Like that's ultimately what Judge will become down the road if he can't stay healthy. And it's weird because we do put it like we make it seem like he's hurt a lot more than he is when you look at like how many games he's played. Yeah. But at the same time, he does get hurt, and when he does, it's pretty significant.
And the difference between Judge and the Yankees and the contract and whatever in 2022 as compared to when George was around was like if Kagawa or Carl Pavano just like died, basically, they would just be like, all right, we're going to eat that salary and we're just going to, get whatever best all-stars on the market. We're going to fill in, we're going to plug them into that spot. You can't really do that now if you're going to be operating the way the Yankees are operating. They're not fucking Uncle Stevie. So that was your broke boys in the Bronx segment. That's basically just in there for Kevin, just to like laugh at the Yankee fans. He's not around this week, but that quote was fucking something. And the evil empire, it's like the fucking lightsabers aren't starting up, man. They got to get some new lightsabers or something. Phil, you must love this because you have like a little bit of a troll in you as well. Yeah, so I think
it's very fun trolling the Yankees, calling them a pathetic franchise. Just saying how this isn't a team that I grew up with. Like 91 wins used to be like a disappointment for the Yankees. Now it's the expectation. How hard times have fallen.
The 90s, we're looking at 96 right now, and they're staring down the battle of 91 they're hoping for. We have one note here down on the farm. Ronnie Mauricio taking outfield reps so I didn't realize this. This is interesting here. So what are we thinking? Are they looking? Is he going to be replacing Marte down the road in center? Is that what's going on?
Shortstop prospects are usually like the best athletes, so they probably want to try them out at a bunch of different positions to see like if one could stick or not. Just
our shortstop's going nowhere anytime soon.
Exactly.
You got Beatty at third, so like maybe I'm surprised they're not giving him. They might be giving him reps at second too, but I feel like outfield is just like. Lagares played shortstop in the minors. Like if you're athletic and you can go get the ball, like they'll just put you anywhere.
Yeah. So I guess so. Yes, yeah. You just move him around. He can't hurt. He's not going to be up any like this year. We have fucking going all in as usual. So I guess if you could pick a position for him, I guess center. If he could play center field, that'd be fucking awesome. But it does feel like almost second base makes a lot of sense too, just because McNeil's a little older. If he stays around, fucking CANO, God willing, gets off these books anytime soon. All that kind of stuff. So. I don't know. I guess that's interesting. Alvarez it sounds like Alvarez, he got the invite, right, to spring training.
Yeah.
So he'll, if he hits a bomb, we'll go crazy. We'll come ourselves for a day or so. But I don't think he's coming up anytime soon either. He's a baby. And again, if any of these guys are in trade rumors, it means we are going after the biggest of we're going after sharks, not even fish. We're going after fucking sharks if any of these guys are in trade rumors, because it feels like they're going to be the first prospects under Stevie that are going to come up and hopefully start this fucking pipeline of absolute studs now that we're going to have people with brains to go along with the money and whatever. I don't know how the international draft, they haven't finalized. That's All-Star game, right? All-Star break is when that's figure that out.
July 24th. They gotta figure that out.
Yeah. And I know obviously probably the Yankees and all the other broke owners are going to try to make it as try to throw as many hindrances as possible for the Mets or the Dodgers to kind of throw around their big dicks and wallets around to make the international scouting theirs. But that seems like it's kind of the great equalizer. Thoughts on the brunch baseball game day dog? I didn't see this. What is this, Kyle?
You see the picture at the bottom?
Oh, shit. Here we go. Let me pull it up for the YouTube here.
It's genius, honestly.
Let me pull it up for the YouTube.
I know what you're talking about.
Let me share it. Sorry, Mikey. Alrighty. So what do we have here? We have a peanut butter. We have a hot dog. We have, a banana in a hot dog bun, peanut butter, jelly. I don't know if that's jelly. That looks more like jam, and I guess there is a difference between the two. What do we fucking like? So this is what we're gonna be doing at 11 o'clock in the morning as we're fucking chilling, watching baseball brunch with Apple TV or whatever the fuck it's gonna be on.
It looks like somebody would have thought of that. You would have think up until this point. That looks delicious. I want to try that. I don't know about you. Like,
I'd be definitely down to try that.
Game day
30 crew. It's a little too early for a hot dog, right? I mean, it's just like it looks delicious.
Yeah, we have our game day dogs, right? And that's usually for the 1 o'clock start. So this could be the 11 o'clock starts you throw down. I'm not a banana guy, so that's why I'm kind of like deferring to you guys on this. But I kind of I kind of love it. I kind of love it as a thing. Where did who sent that out?
Just on Twitter.
Oh, just a Twitter thing. Okay.
With the boys.
And this is another thing. The time change. So 1 o'clock games now. Is this during the weekend, Kyle? 110 games are now 140.
It's Phil, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's for the national broadcast because like the Mets always get screwed over on that anyway. And again, it's just going to be. Not only do we not get games at 110, now we get 140, and then we also don't get like our normal crew when it comes through.
Yeah,
so it's it's a national broadcast, but like they're just accounting for it in case it needs to be.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the way it works. It's just 140, and it's only like 30 minutes, like extra, but still, like it's 30 minutes. I'd rather be watching baseball.
It's a huge difference, though, Phil. It's a huge difference.
I know. I feel that. You center your day around those 110 starts.
Yes, especially if you're at the ballpark too. It's just like. Yeah. Then you got to deal with like the sun, and now you have the shadows and shit. Like they're not. I don't know what it's gonna look like in Citi Field, but I guarantee you they're not taking that into account for like all of the other stadiums. It's gonna get screwed up at some point.
Yeah. So here it says the Mets also announced that Sunday home games in 2022 will start at 1:40 p.m. to accommodate Major League Baseball's national media rights requirements. So. That's again, I don't know. It's just something about that 110. I'd almost rather it be earlier and be like, I could have lived with like a 12:10 or a 12:40, but just throwing that another half hour later into the day, no me gusta.
Everything is pushing it later too. It's like you're up until 11:30, 12 o'clock at night every night as it is. And now on the day where you have like the early start, now it's going to cut into like, I don't know, dinner.
Yeah, and then you're just done. You're done for the fucking day, and you're like, all right, we're on to the next series. It's the end of the week of baseball, and you move on from there. Speaking of moving on, we're going to finish things off right now. We got some Mets trivia. We're gonna have Phil's gonna pull up a trivia every episode, and we'll probably embarrass the shit out of ourselves. I'm fucking maybe go some dozen rules here. Get some fucking phone of friends.
Yeah, are you gonna like murder us with the first question here, or is it like a?
This should be a warm up. I don't think this is a hard one. So this guy was a Met from 2010 to 2014. Just giving you a background there. He later played for the Yankees. Do you have any guesses yet?
Okay, 2010 to 2014 Mets, played for the Yankees. I like this. And then everyone, as they're listening, can try to figure it out from home. Okay. 2010, 2014. You know who's been in my head lately? Evans. Not Evans.
Nope.
Okay. I'm leaning, but I can't think of anybody at the moment. I need another clue.
He sprained his ankle when colliding on a pop-up one time with David Wright.
Ike Davis.
Yep, there you go. My next clue is going to be Valley Fever. That would have been the giveaway.
That's the at the end of the last clue you give is always the triggering LOL Mets thing that happened to him. So that would be the Ike Davis version. Which I mean, I guess the David Wright ankle twist was kind of an LOL Mets moment because it completely fucked him up. I would have bet my life, savings, anything you want, anyone's life. Except for Phil. I wouldn't bet Phil. I wouldn't bet your life on this. That Ike Davis was going to be a perennial all-star. And I'll still say, without the ankle and the fucking Valley Fever, I still think he would have been awesome. He came up and absolutely mashed. And I think it was his glove was supposed to be like the thing, right? But he ended up having a better bat than we thought. And I could not have been more against Lucas Duda in the Ike versus Duda camp. I was so much on Team Ike. I still can't believe he's not like he
had the biggest hitch in his swing, and then he got so exposed. And then at one point he learned how to learned how to throw a knuckleball, and he tried to resurge his career as a pitcher. Like, that's the longest list of Mets that were supposed to pan out and never panned out. Like, he's got to be up there with Lastings Millage.
Yep. And I'll try to keep those trivia guys like in the 2000s. I'm not going to give you like Tommy Agee or some shit that was like before we were born.
Save those for Frank. Frank can fucking he'll be able to pick some shit up out of nowhere. So apparently here, he pitched in 2000 for the youth league. And he was in Arizona State. He pitched he had a 23-01 loss record with a 1.85 ERA. Jesus Christ.
I thought maybe he tried to be a reliever like the World Baseball Classic, I think. Maybe. I don't remember that perfectly. It sounds like something to do.
And then he pitched for the A's, of course, in 2015. Had a perfect inning and then only used 9 pitches. All right. He was the Arizona high school pitcher of the year, and he had 2.25 ERA as a pitcher. So I didn't realize he had that kind of background along as well as being like a fucking nasty hitter. All right. So are you guys Team Mike or Team Duda? Because there was a time where they were both relatively equal in our minds. We didn't know which one was going to pan out.
I was Team Mike because I always thought he'd pan out. I literally had an I Like Ike shirt.
I had the I Like Ike shirt too. Yes. My wife, that was like, I think like one of her first jerseys too was an Ike Davis. She was like, that's gonna be my guy. And I was like, all right. Like, and I bought her like the legit jersey. I'm like, all right, honey, like this is a big expense, but it's all right. Ike Davis is a no doubter. He's gonna be here forever.
We were touting him as like the best first baseman since Keith Hernandez.
Yes.
On him in that jersey. Like those expectations are sky high and he fell far.
Kyle, were you Ike or Duda?
I was Ike just because Duda was always an afterthought. And then when Duda started doing his thing and hitting bombs, I was like, okay. Like, I'll take it, but I was never a Duda guy when it came, especially after that throw.
And, like, that was when Duda, remember, he gets shipped to the outfield. Like, it was just crazy how left field just became the place we couldn't fit people. We had Murphy out there. We had Duda out there. Todd Hundley back in the day. Phil, you can go, like, I think, like, mid to late 90s. Can you do mid to late 90s, Kyle? Because I know Kevin can.
Yeah, I can definitely fit that in, yeah.
But, yeah, so we'll do like a Mets trivia, mystery Met at the end of every episode just to kind of, mix things up, make it kind of fun. That was a good one. And honestly, 2010 to 2014, I had no idea. I thought he was here longer, as weird as I guess he was in the bigs from 2010 to 2014, right? Okay, so, and then it was from the Mets to the Pirates for Zach Thornton and a player to be named who was Blake Taylor. Then he goes to the A's, Rangers, Yankees, Dodgers.
And Blake Taylor was later turned into Jake Marisnik. So that's a weird change of events.
It always ends in sadness. And then he played for Team Israel in the 2017 World Baseball Classic. So a little Ike Davis throwback for all out there. Again, would have died on that hill of Team Ike. I am dead. I bled out. I'm fucking worm meat on the top of the fucking Team Ike hill right now. So that's this week's episode, or the end of this week's episode. We'll see you Monday. Kevin will be back hopefully, and God knows what will happen. Are you guys expecting one more, like, I don't know, like a 5 out of 10 signing from here on out?
I think this is probably our team. I'm expecting by Monday you'll see like guys like Conforto, Castellanos sign, whether it's here or elsewhere. Maybe Conforto's market turns into a pillow contract for us, but I doubt it. This sports doesn't work that way.
I like that term, pillow contract. That's why I love Phil on this fucking show, man. He says fucking shit. It makes me feel smarter just hearing it. What about you, Kyle?
No, I think this is it. I think Mark Canha is flying under the radar. People are just overlooking him completely. Like, that's our right fielder. I don't think there's anything else that we're doing. That's just pretty much it. Khalil Lee's up, so that's something to look at because dude is athletic as hell, but like strikes out like he's swinging a tree trunk. So we'll see. 3
inches shorter. I'm telling you, if Garris's bat was 3 inches longer, he would have been a fucking perennial all-star. And Khalil Lee just needs to get shorter. We're all going to be fine. Khalil Lee, some of those fucking games were so electric. I have to go back and watch him. Like some of those catches he made, and again, like striking out every at bat to start his career was kind of a tough look for those of us that were on the Khalil Lee hill. But I'm hoping like there's this buzz about him, which I still can't believe. As someone that loves the guy, I'm like, you guys don't remember how everyone was just clowning him nonstop. So we'll see you guys next week. You know, maybe with a new player, maybe not. And again, I'm 100% with you guys. I think this is our team. Did you see there was a tweet? I think the A's. It might have Phil. You might have retweeted it, where it was like CANO and Bassett are like the two most underrated, or
Bassett and CANO, two of the most underrated players in baseball. As an A's fan last May tweeted it out. Now they're both with us. We just stole their team.
That's what happens, man. Billy Epler fucking came out, threw the sunglasses on, and just took everything they loved. So we'll see you next week, and we'll see what Uncle Stevie does in the meantime. But until then, LFGM. Gotta believe.